pirates, summon the heroic spirit Drake at the beginning. Author, like the wind. Chapter 51. The Wizard's Companion. Ziyan took the devil fruit and Bailey listened to the identication of the devil fruit by their system in his brain, smiled and said, "Your navy is quite good at making deals, and the ones you brought are very ordinary devil fruits." Ziyan shook his head. "But forget it, no matter what, you have reached the terms of the deal. We will leave Rock Town now. As for Garp and the Yellow Ape, you can take them away." After speaking, Ziyan led Drake and the others out of the villa. "By the way, I am very satisfied with this transaction. The Navy is welcome to hunt us down at will, and I look forward to our next transaction." Outside the door, Ziyan's voice came to the ears of Vincent, Garp and a group of sailors waiting outside the villa, making them feel extra ear-piercing. Ziyan and his companions, who came to the shore, left Rock Town amidst the attention of many people. The golden sun shone on the vast sea, and the golden deer started its voyage again. On the boat, Musashi held a stack of reward orders, showing envy. "It's great, everyone's bounty is so high, but mine is so low." The reward order in Musashi's hand is the wanted order of Ziyan and his companions. Through this battle with the Navy, the Drake pirates have completely entered the eyes of their world. The Navy and the world government temporarily couldn't spare manpower to deal with the Drake pirates, so they had to issue a reward for them. I hope to deal with them through the pirate hunters and the pirates who refuse to accept the Drake pirates. "Master, look, now I have become the one with the lowest reward among us." Musashi ran to sit on the chair opposite Ziyan, and handed the reward order in his hand to Ziyan. Ziyan took a look at the reward order and smiled happily. Through this confrontation with the Navy, all members of the pirates were rewarded. Tsunade offered a bounty of 6,000 million berries, Imiyashiro offered a reward of 5,500 million berries, and Peluslino, who had already gone to the Navy as an undercover agent, was offered a reward of million berries. Li Shiwen, who defeated Garp by himself, was offered a reward of 13 billion berry, and was dubbed Sharp Spear and Steel Fist as the captain of the Drake pirates. The bounty was raised to 15 billion berry. As the leader, Ziyan was even offered a reward of 20 billion berry, and was called Black-Haired Admiral by the Navy. Ziyan stared at Musashi's reward order, and sure enough, Musashi's reward was the least, only million berries. Ziyan smiled and pulled Musashi to sit on his lap. "Don't be depressed, Musashi. Your strength is undoubtedly very strong. Now it is only because your strength has not been shown in the eyes of the public that the Navy underestimates your strength and makes your reward very low. In the future, after you defeat Flowerful characters, the bounty will naturally increase. When you meet Hawkeye in the future, you will go and defeat him. Your bounty will definitely be very high. Then, you, master, you're like this." Sitting on Ziyan's lap, Musashi was cheating, especially after seeing the teasing expressions of Tsunade and Drake. He felt even more shy. "Haha. You should get used to it by now." Ziyan took a deep breath of the fragrance of Musashi's beautiful hair, leaning on her back and said, "This. How do you get used to this kind of thing?" Musashi muttered in a low voice. After molesting Musashi, Ziyan thought about which type of companion he should summon. Including the 8 devil fruits obtained this time, Ziyan now has a total of 9 ordinary devil fruits, which can summon 4 companions. And because the 2 billion berry of the Navy is enough to strengthen the companions to their peak state. Thinking of this, Ziyan couldn't stop being ecstatic. After thinking for a while, Ziyan made a decision in his mind. For this summoning, Ziyan did not intend to summon 4 people together. He intends to summon one by one, fully enjoying the joy and excitement brought by their summoning. Of course, Ziyan also had the idea that a single draw might produce a miracle. Then, RST of all, the magician. After speaking his decision to the system in his mind, Ziyan looked forward expectantly. "What kind of magician do you think the RST partner I summoned this time?" Looking at the magic circle, Ziyan couldn't help thinking. Seeing the graceful Gyur in front of him, Ziyan's eyes widened. "It's too exciting to summon her." Looking at the black-skinned, sexy and gorgeously dressed, plump magician in front of him, Ziyan screamed in his heart. Well, if you are summoned, there is nothing you can do." Shanruzad sighed. "My name is Shanruzad, and I will serve you as a king forever." "I'm very glad to see you, Shanruzad." Ziyan took Shanruzad's hand with both hands. Excitedly, "You are welcome to be our companion. From now on, I hope you can teach me a lot." Scheherazade smiled charmingly, and said, "My lord, I think you should understand the meaning of what is right. Compared with the battle eld, I would rather be in your room." Cough, cough. "That's pretty good," Ziyan replied excitedly. Chapter 52. Dear congratulations to the host for summoning Scheherazade and obtaining the treasure. 1001 Nights. "Ah, little master is really a pervert." Tsunade saw Ziyan's expression and said with a smile on his face, "Isn't that exactly what you like, Tsunade?" Drake looked at Tsunade with a smile. "Isn't it good that he is like this?" He. "It's not good, because of this. Master often teases me," Musashi said with a blushing face. Drake looked at Musashi amusedly. "Didn't you enjoy it too, Musashi?" "That's not true. It's just, I have to. Musashi blushed even more. Ah, forget it. Let you say what you want. Haha. It seems that there are quite a few strong men on the king's side. Scheherazade glanced around his companions. That's great, so I won't die. This way I can always serve you. Go, my king. Ziyun took Shanruzade's hand and said with a smile. Don't worry, Shanruzade, you will never die here. I want you to promise. Thank you, my king. Just watch from the side. Rst. Ziyun pushed Shanruzade down behind him. I still want to call other companions. The more companions you have, the stronger your sense of security, isn't it? That's great. Let's summon the berserker this time. Although I am a little worried about the berserker's rationality, but with the support of the system, it should be no problem. Ziyun thought silently. Even though I thought so, I was still a little worried when I saw the summon magic circle. Don't be an existence that cannot communicate. In Ziyun's complicated mental activities, the summoning was completed. This is really an exciting day. Ziyun looked at the huge people's hearts in front of him, and was ecstatic in his heart. Tight clothes and a plump gear, this shouldn't be too exciting. Besides, he is also a berserker who can communicate well. This wave is super pro table. Hello, this lovely summoner. My name is Minamoto Reimitsu. I don't appear as a swordsman, but as a berserker. Although I am not qualified as a leader, please take care of me, okay? There. Beautiful woman named Minamoto Yorimitsu introduced herself in a gentle tone. Hello, Minarai. The official self-introduction is over, so now we can get close to the master. Before Ziyun finished speaking, Minamoto Reimitsu rushed to him and hugged him in his arms. Ziyun was instantly surrounded by a soft feeling. Although this is a bit embarrassing, there is no way, because the master is such a cute child. I am very happy to be summoned by an existence like you, master. Minamoto Reimiko let go of Ziyun's head slightly, and stared deeply at Ziyun. Although I have become a little crazy girl, please don't hate me because of it. No, no. Ziyun shook his head hastily. It's better to say, I am very happy that you treat me like this. Really, I'm so happy. Minamoto Reimitsu blushed slightly. Well, master, we've been together for so long, it's about time we can stop calling you master. Instead, call me dear. What do you think? Sample. Of course. Ziyun smiled. But didn't we just meet? Why do you say we've been together for a long time? Honey, it's true, we've been together for 5 minutes and 35 seconds. It's been a long time since I wanted to be. That was indeed quite a long time. Haha. Ziyun replied with a slight twitching of the corners of his mouth. That's right, my dear also thinks so. Haha. That's a nice name. Haha. Yuan Liguang's face was full of happiness. Ziyun's face lying on Minamoto's chest was also full of happiness. Speaking of getting along, I've been with you, Yun, for long enough. Drake stepped forward and stuck to Ziyun's back. So, I don't need to be called master. You can just call me Yun. Yeah, Yun. Hee. I'll call you Yun from now on. Hee. Tsunade put the SD of one hand on their palm of the other hand and made a decision. Me too. I want to be called Yazun too. Hee. Musashi also raised his hand and said, of course, everyone on the boat is a partner. You can call me whatever you want. Ziyun answered everyone with a smile. Minamoto Yorimitsu looked at Tsunade and Musashi, then at Scheherazade who had been looking at Ziyun from just now, and Nally at Drake who was close to Ziyun's back. Momentum slowly appeared in Minamoto Raiku's eyes. After a while, the water vapor turned into tears and fell from Minamoto's eyes. Hey, well, don't cry, Minamoto. Seeing Minamoto's appearance, Ziyun panicked. He quickly reached out to wipe her tears. Honey, have you changed your mind? Minamoto Liguang looked at Ziyun with tears in his eyes. Obviously you have me, and you still have to like someone else. No. This can't be done. My dear belongs to me alone, and I can't give it to you. Minamoto's eyes gradually became dangerous. Chapter 53. Breathe a sigh of relief. It seems that there are many bugs around, my dear. Minamoto Reimitsu let go of Ziyun, and put his hand on the handle of the knife on his body. It's really an eyesore. It seems that we have to deal with it. Hey, hello. Don't be like this, Minamoto. Ziyun hurriedly pressed Minamoto's hand with a brow. We are all companions, Minamoto. I hope you get along well with everyone. Minamoto Reimiko took a deep breath, and took his hand away from the handle of their knife. Since my dear says so, I won't make it difficult for you. Ziyun wiped the sweat off his forehead and heaved a sigh of relief. It really is a berserker. Ziyun couldn't help thinking. Don't worry, my dear. Yuan Liguang took Ziyun's hand and put it on his chest. Don't worry, I will clean up the bugs before you can see it. Hee. Seeing Minamoto Larimitsu's sickly smile, Ziyun's forehead began to swell after he breathed a sigh of relief. Even the soft touch of his hand could not slow down his nervous heartbeat. Ziyun's brain was spinning wildly, thinking about how to persuade Minamoto Reimitsu not to treat his other female companions. Emiya Shiru looked at Ziyun who was caught among several women, shook his head, smiled wryly, as if thinking of his former self. Haha, it's nice to be young. Sitting on a chair, Li Shuwen took a sip of his tea and looked at Zhu Yan and his female companions with interest. Do you know Zhu Yan's purpose? Drake, who was still clinging to Zhu Yan's back, said to Minamoto Reimiko. Huh? What do you want to say? But also, let go of my dear. Seeing Drake, who was still holding Zhu Yan, Minamoto Reiko looked at her earnestly, and turned his hand towards himself. Again the impulse to hold the knife away. Zhu Yan intends to become the king of this world. He needs more companions. Drake let go of Zhu Yan, looked at Minamoto Reimiko with serious eyes. Exclude us. Do you have their contents to send Zhu Yan to the top of the world? Drake walked into Yuan Liguang and continued, are you really treating Yan like this? This. Minamoto was speechless. To be honest, I also want to monopolize the cloud. But for his words, I can accept it no matter if it is Tsunade, Musashi, Scheherazade, or you. I think Tsunade and Musashi are also like this. Drake stretched out his hand and said, so, can we get along well? Looking at Drake's hand, Minamoto Reimiko fell into deep thought. After a while, Minamoto Reimiko reached out and took Drake's hand. For my dear's purpose, I am willing to get along well with you. Minamoto Reimiko turned his head to look at Zhu Yan, with a doting smile on his face again. As long as it's for my dear, I, Reiko, can do anything, no matter how many women I can accept. Minamoto Reimiko walked into Zhu Yan and hugged him tightly. So, please, don't abandon me. Otherwise, I don't know what I will do. Zhu Yan wrapped his arms around Minamoto's back, hugged her tightly as well, and said movingly and tenderly, dear Reiko, please don't say abandon you, because I will always be with you. Yeah. Tears owed from Minamoto's eyes again, but this time they were tears of happiness. After a long time, Minamoto Reimiko let go of Zhu Yan's hand when Zhu Yan said that he would call his companions. Otherwise, I don't know how long Minamoto Reimiko will hold him. Cut. Tsunade stepped forward with a displeased face. Since your ability can help Yan, I forgive you this time, Minamoto Reimiko. That's right, it's bad behavior to monopolize Zhu Yan. Musashi said, also unhappy. Scheherazade, hey, don't you want to say something? Seeing Minamoto Reimiko ignoring them, Tsunade walked a little closer and said loudly, okay. As Tsunade approached, Minamoto Yorimitsu seemed to be muttering something in a low voice. If it wasn't for her hearing being strong enough, plus the distance was close enough. Even she couldn't hear Minamoto Reimitsu's whispers. Tsunade pricked up his ears to listen. Darling, call me dear, call me by my name, ha. Hearing Minamoto Reimitsu repeating this sentence, the corners of Tsunade's mouth twitched, and he turned and retreated. She decided not to bother this woman named Minamoto for the time being. After all, Minamoto may have woken up for the time being. Seeing that the matter was nearly resolved, Zhu Yan breathed a sigh of relief, and looked at Drake gratefully. Drake shook his head with a smile, signaling that Zhu Yan didn't need to thank her, it was all she should do. Seeing Drake's smile, Zhu Yan suddenly felt warm in his heart. Turning his head, Zhu Yan looked at the system prompt in his mind. By summoning Yuan Liguang, Zhu Yan obtained her treasure, Nuang Zalai Tamwang. Zhu Yan is still very satisfied with this treasure. After all, when using this treasure, you can summon several different souls to attack together. It's quite interesting to think about it. P.S. Ask for flowers, please collect. Chapter 54 Legal Lolita. Since Pelusilino went undercover in the Navy, I'm summoning a super flower here. Thinking of this, Zhu Yan gave the system the decision to summon the super flower? Soon, the summoned person appeared after the light dissipated. Green curly hair, wearing a black slit gown, lily face. It is the P-flowerful super flower. The trembling tornado. Congratulations to the host for getting the telekinetic P-flower of the trembling tornado. Zhu Yan, who temporarily ignored the system voice in his head, looked at the lawful lily in front of him, and suddenly felt a different kind of heartbeat. This is a 28-year-old legal lily. You don't have to worry about starting in 3 years. And she's still so cute. Zhu Yan screamed in his heart. I am the trembling tornadoes, and I came here when I heard your call. Tornado raised his hair with his hands, and flew to the same height as Zhu Yan and looked at Zhu Yan. Did you call me? It's not too bad. Well. Tornado raised his chin and said confidently, well, don't worry, although you are not very good. But since I obeyed your call, I will help you well. Use my P-flower to your heart's content. But, as he spoke, Long Wan put his face close to Zhu Yan's. However, since I helped you, at least you need to serve me well, you understand. Seeing the tornado right in front of him, Zhu Yan could no longer restrain the impulse in his heart, hugged the tornado, and rubbed his face hard against the tornado's face. Ah, what a cute little girl. Dragon volume, you are so cute. Damn it, I'm not a little girl, I'm an adult. Being hugged by Zhu Yan and rubbing his face, Tornado blushed in an instant, and pushed Zhu Yan hard, even using a little P-flower of thought. But even so, Zhu Yan didn't let her go, instead he rubbed her even harder. Damn, hateful Zhu Yan. Tornado, who didn't want to use too much telekinetic force on Zhu Yan, couldn't break free from Zhu Yan's embrace, so he could only curse wildly. After a while, Zhu Yan let go of the tornado. The tornado uttered down on the deck, His face was red and hot, obviously extremely shy and angry. "Welcome, trembling Tornado." Ziyan knelt down, gently held Tornado's hand, and said, "HMPH, rude fellow." Tornado was obviously still dissatisfied with being treated like that by Ziyan just now. Therefore, he didn't give Ziyan a good look, but he didn't take back the hand held by Ziyan. Seeing the cute appearance of the Tornado, Ledong touched the hand of the Tornado with his hand on purpose, and he retracted his hand before the Tornado broke out. HMPH. Tornado went to the chair beside him and lay down, picked up the juice on the table, and drank it in big gulps. It looked like he was going to drink the juice as though it were Ziyan. Looking at such a cute Tornado, the corners of Ziyan's mouth couldn't help but rise. After withdrawing his gaze from the Tornado, Ziyan began to test the telekinetic pea flower he had just obtained. Ziyan, who was slowly ying into the sky, was extremely satisfied with the ability of this trembling Tornado. Not only has a strong combat effectiveness, but also provides its own extraordinary mobility. After gaining the ability to Y, Ziyan is now very content in his own strength. He believes that even if it is the 4 Emperor Pirates, he can break through alone. You can even imitate Kaido and go to the enemy to make trouble for the enemy. But this is just a thought. For the time being, Ziyan doesn't plan to GHT against a pea flowerful enemy alone. If you have a companion, of course you have to take your companion with you. Unless one day, his strength is strong enough to walk sideways in this world. Then, let's start the null summoning system. This time summon me a substitute envoy. When browsing the summoning options of the system, Ziyan once saw a very interesting profession, that is, the substitute envoy. Many of the stand-in messengers stand-ins have pea flowerful abilities that involve rules, and Ziyan is very jealous of these abilities. However, because the body of the stand-in messenger is generally weak. In this world, ordinary physique can be easily killed. Therefore, at the beginning, Ziyan didn't summon the stand-in messenger. Instead, it is to summon other professions to see if it can quickly improve the strength of its own body. Now, Ziyan has great confidence in his own strength, and there are many pea flowerful partners on board. Therefore, Ziyan now decided to summon a stand-in messenger. Ding. Start summoning. Congratulations to the host for summoning the substitute messenger. Dio Brando. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the substitute ability, world. Hee ha hee. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Hearing the system's voice in his mind, Ziyan couldn't stop laughing wildly. Hee hee. It's really good, the ability to stop time. Ziyan, who used the double, looked at his hands, and then looked at the double world in front of him. As if I felt that the world seemed to be in my own hands. Chapter 55 Euler Wood. Oh. Was it you who summoned me? It looks like a very pea flowerful boss. Dio Brando, with blonde hair and yellow clothes, walked in front of Ziyan and licked the corner of his mouth viciously. Moreover, you actually have a substitute like me. Then, you must also have the ability to pause time. Hello, Dior, I'm Ziyan, the person who summoned you. Thank you for your response. Ziyan, who came back to his senses, looked at Dio Brando in front of him. Then, can you do me a favor? Oh, can the boss ask me for something? Dio folded his hands and smiled. Since it's the boss request, then I have to help. So, what's the matter? It's not a big deal, but can you use your substitute to GHT me? It's also a test of my substitute's ability. That's it, it's not a big deal. Dio called out his substitute. Let my Dio's substitute, world, test your world. Then, I'm going. Ziyan laughed excitedly, manipulating his double to bombard Dior's world violently. Oh la ora ora, huh? Hearing Ziyan's roar, Dio couldn't help being taken aback. It's really nostalgic. If this is the case, let's play with you, boss. Would big. Ha ha ha, this feeling is really interesting. Although his stand-in is not a platinum star, Ziyan is still very excited watching the two worlds, GHT. Poor and weak, continued to increase your strength. Dior. Ziyan laughed wildly. Let me see your limit, Rai. Then as you wish. Rai. As a response to Ziyan, Dio immediately increased the strength of his stand-in punch. Between Ziyan and Dio, doubles invisible to ordinary people violently stared each other, and waves of air currents were stirred into the distance. Ding. Remind the host that the protection time for the special summoned character Dio Brando is about to arrive. When the time is up, Dio Brando, a vampire, will not be able to bask in the sun. Huh? Ziyan was taken aback when he heard the system's voice, and then remembered that Dior was standing under the sun right now. He hurriedly stopped the competition with Dior for the time being. The system, if Dior is strengthened to its peak state, can it survive under the sun? Ziyan didn't want his companions to be unable to exist under the sun, otherwise life would be too boring. Moreover, it cannot exist in the sun, and it cannot rely on Dior to GHT during the day, which is also a huge loss of combat pea flower for its own forces. Ding. If it is strengthened to the peak state, Dio can eliminate the shortcomings of not being able to survive in the sun. And if he can eat like ordinary people, the strength of Dio himself and his substitute will also increase. That's good. Ziyan breathed a sigh of relief. System, deduct, millionberry, and strengthened your brando for me. Yes, host. Strengthening. The strengthening has been completed. Feeling the changes in his body, Dio raised his hands and looked. He tried to squeeze his street, and a burst of anger came from Dio's street. Feeling that his strength had become stronger, Dio couldn't help laughing wildly. How do you feel, Dio? Ziyan smiled and patted Dio's shoulder. Now you, after being strengthened, can exist under the sun unconditionally. Really? Hearing that he was able to survive under the sun, it was Dio's heart, and he couldn't help but feel ecstatic. After all, the shortcoming of being afraid of the sun has troubled him for a long time. You are really a good boss. Don't worry, since I have reached a contract with you, I will do my best for you. Even if you want to become the king of this world, I will fully support you. Thank you, Dio. After chatting with Dio, Ziyan looked at the summoning magic circle that hadn't dissipated since Dio came out. System, are you going to pay Ben ATS again? When the host summons up to 10 characters, an additional summon can be performed. Their summoning profession is random, and an advanced gift bag is also obtained. Please check their contents of the gift bag. Ding. The summoning is in progress. 10 summons, 1 free summon. It's really similar to the summoning mechanism of the mobile game I played before. Ziyan shook his head and looked at the summoning array. I don't know. This time the additional summoning can give. What surprise am I? Haha. Ding. The summoning is complete. Congratulations to the host for summoning the berserker. Spartacus. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the treasure, Roar of the Wounded Beast. Note, when the host uses the treasure, Roar of the Wounded Beast, the body size will not change much, and at the same time retain the original ability of Roar of the Wounded Beast. It's okay, when you use Roar of the Wounded Beast, now, you don't have to worry about becoming a muscle mass. Ziyan patted his chest and thought to himself, if it becomes a muscle mass, I will never use this noble phantasm. However, after using this treasure, I feel that it will be very durable. It is simply stacking their thickest armor and receiving the most vicious beating, and it can also return the enemy's attack. Just be careful not to be hit to self-explosion. It's good enough. Ziyan, who recovered from his own thoughts, looked at Spartacus, who appeared as the magic circle disappeared, and couldn't help but think of Minamoto's performance just now, and cold sweat began to break out on his head again. I hope this berserker can communicate better. Chapter 56. Excuse me, are you an oppressor? I am the berserker, Spartacus. Summoner, let us wage war against the oppressors and free the abused. Spartacus, whose muscles were exposed, said to Ziyan with a smile all over his face. Hello, Spartacus, my name is Ziyan. Ziyan stretched out his hand. I would be very happy to start a war against the oppressor who is violent. This world has a ruler of pure evil. I hope you can lend me your strength to defeat them. Of course. Spartacus held Ziyan's hand. Master, I, Spartacus, hate this kind of people there most. Let's smash them together. Hee. Come on, Spartacus. Let me introduce you to the others. After everyone got to know each other, Ziyan arranged a banquet to entertain the new companions. During the period, the remaining berry was also used to strengthen the new partners. This is also due to the fact that the Navy has enough money robbed this time, otherwise Ziyan really has no way to strengthen so many companions at once. Looking at the friends who were having fun, Ziyan calmed down and opened the advanced gift package given by the system. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the authority to create spirit transfers. The host can consume any devil fruit to build a collet transfer position in a certain place. The built collet transfer position can be recycled by consuming 6 million berry, and it will turn back into a devil fruit after recycling. Between two different spiritual sub-positions, the host can lead the partner to carry out instant transfer, and the host himself can transfer to any spiritual sub-transfer position anywhere. Isn't this just a long-distance teleportation array? Ziyan said with emotion. However, it's too extravagant to consume devil fruits. The more the spirit seed transfer position is built, the fewer companions I can summon. But fortunately, it can be recycled when it is not needed, although it will cost a lot of money. Ziyan shook his head. Forget it. Try to establish a spiritual transfer position when necessary. The banquet of Ziyan's group came to an end when Jin Luhao arrived at Reversing Mountain. Seeing the scene of the seawater running up the mountain, Ziyan and everyone felt very interesting. Hee. I have never seen such a route in my previous voyages. Drake raised his pirate hat and looked at the upside-down mountain in front of him with a little surprise. It's been great to be in this world and my passion for adventure has been revived. Then, let's move forward, Drake. Ziyan turned to look at Drake and said, of course. Drake responded with a smile. Golden Deer, go forward. Following Drake's order, the Golden Deer suddenly accelerated and rushed up the upside-down mountain. The speed of the Golden Deer is very fast, and it is also a treasure. The turbulent sea current did not cause any damage to the Golden Deer at all. Soon, the Golden Deer carried everyone to the other side of the Reversing Mountain. As the Golden Deer rode down quickly, a pirate ship came into everyone's eyes. Captain, it's over. Our ship can't hold on anymore. A pirate on the pirate ship hurriedly reported to his captain. Damn it. The captain of the pirate group could see that his ship was almost destroyed. He was not reconciled. He was about to reach the Great Route, and he was about to start his own great adventure. But now, because of the sinking of the ship, the adventure will be interrupted, and even life will be lost. At this moment, the rapidly approaching golden deer appeared in his eyes, which made him feel hopeful. The pirate captain raised the corners of his mouth coldly, and when the golden deer was almost close, he immediately jumped onto the golden deer with his fellow pirates on board. Listen, you unlucky bastards. From now on, your ship is ours. Now you all jump off the ship. Immediately, as soon as he jumped on the golden deer, the pirate captain arrogantly faced Zhu Yan and the others. Shouted, yeah, jump down now. Ha, it's really our luck to meet you. However, it is your bad luck to meet us. What a bunch of unlucky ones. Ha. The other pirates also shouted along with their pirate captain. Who is unlucky? Ha. Ziyan looked at the group of pirates and said with a smile, why don't you act yet? Do you want me? The pirate captain, as soon as he drew his gun and pointed at Ziyan who was speaking, was covered by a shadow. The pirate captain raised his head in a daze. His body was muscular. His skin color was blue and white, and Spartacus in a steel-restrained uniform was imprinted in his eyes. Looking at the tall, tangled muscles, Spartacus looked at himself with a terrifying smile. The pirate captain subconsciously read a shot at Spartacus. The bullet hit Spartacus's muscle, and he stood up immediately. Bounced and landed on their deck. The pirate captain and his group of companions had never seen anyone able to block bullets with their bodies, and seeing the bullets falling on the deck, they all swallowed. The pirate captain even took a big step back, trying to stop Spartacus. You are. The pirate captain trembled and raised his gun to aim at Spartacus' head. I'm Spartacus. Spartacus took a step forward and stood in front of the pirate captain. Again, excuse me for being too direct. Excuse me, are you an oppressor? Chapter 57 The Battle of Spartacus. Don't come here. Seeing Spartacus approaching him again, the pirate captain yelled in horror. He read several shots at Spartacus until the bullets were exhausted, and the pirate captain was still pulling their trigger. In panic, even though Spartacus was very close to him, some bullets missed. And the bullets that hit Spartacus were blocked by his body one after another. It seems that you are an oppressor. Spartacus raised his mouth higher. What oppression? Laugh? ? Before the pirate captain could finish his words, Spartacus' sword had already sliced across his body. The pirate captain was broken in two from the waist, and the sprayed blood stained Spartacus all over. Captain was killed? How come? Although seeing that Spartacus can block bullets, the pirates were already very surprised. But now seeing the strongest captain among them, he couldn't even block a single blow from their opponent. They were all trembling with fright. What's more, he couldn't even stand on his feet, and he collapsed directly on the deck. Hearing the voices of the pirates, Spartacus turned to them with a smile that never faded. Seeing Spartacus covered in blood and smiling like a devil, the pirates immediately knelt down and begged Spartacus for mercy. He had just seen that the gun was useless to him, and they were scared out of their wits, so naturally they didn't dare to resist. You are oppressors too. The kneeling pirates looked at Spartacus, who had come to them in the blink of an eye, and their mouths grew wide, tears streaming down their faces. Wait, we're not. Although I don't know why Spartacus asked them that, but I saw what happened to their captain just now. They guessed that if they answered no, they would not die if they could. Unfortunately, it was too late for them to say the whole sentence. Like a tiger in a flock of sheep, Spartacus rushed into the pirates. In less than a while, these pirates were all killed by Spartacus. As expected of Spartacus, he really has the style of a berserker. Looking at the pirates who were cut in half by a sword, or had their breastbone collapsed, Ziyan thought silently in his heart. When Spartacus threw the dead pirates overboard, the Golden Hind completely crossed the upside-down mountain. The Drake pirates have officially arrived at the Great Route. Ziyan stepped onto the bow of the boat and looked towards the lighthouse at Shuangtsai Cape. Ziyan was quite interested in Roger's ship. Dr. Euler, the ship doctor who was silently reading the newspaper, couldn't help squinting his eyes when he saw the Golden Deer, the ship of the Drake pirates, passing by. In recent days, he has learned a lot about this pirate group through newspapers. Defeat carp, capture ape, and more. The various things that Drake pirates did surprised him, who had traveled around the world with Roger the Pirate King and experienced all kinds of wind and rain. After all, dare to openly capture naval heroes and admirals, but Roger pirates did not dare to do things. And the Roger pirates were once chased all over the world by Garp. Ziyan jumped ashore from the Golden Deer and walked slowly into Kuroka's, along with Tsunade. Tsunade heard from Ziyan that this old man was the ship doctor of One Piece, and that their whale with huge scars next to him was the old man after healed. As a doctor, she naturally wanted to communicate with him. Hi, Kulikas. Ziyan smiled. I'm Ziyan, can I have a chat? the most popular person these days. What's the matter with me, an ordinary bad old man? Euler put down the newspaper in his hand, looked at Ziyan and said indifferently, "You are the ship doctor of One Piece. You are not an ordinary person." Ziyan shook his head and pointed at Tsunade. "This is our ship doctor, Tsunade. Her medical level is very high, although I think her medical level is better than yours." "High, but she still wants to exchange art with you, huh? You actually know that I am Roger's ship doctor?" Euler stared at Ziyan with wide eyes. "My intelligence ability is very strong." Ziyan shrugged indifferently. "So, can we exchange medical skills?" "Sorry." Euler picked up the newspaper again. "I'm just a retired old man. For things like exchanging medical skills, go and see someone else." "That's right. That's a pity." Ziyan shook his head. "However, if that's the case, then I might accidentally reveal to the outside world that Euler, the ship doctor of One Piece, lives at their lighthouse in Cape Twins." Ziyan smiled, and continued, "I guess by then, you won't be able to live a peaceful retirement life. Ha ha." Hearing Ziyan's words, Kuroko stared at Ziyan with wide eyes. "You guy, why are you so despicable? Don't you know how to respect the old and love their young?" "Hey, if the ship doctor of One Piece can generously exchange medical skills with my Tsunade, my mouth will be very strict." Ziyan deliberately ignored Kuroko and said loudly, as if he was afraid that Kuroko would not hear him. Chapter 58 Reaching the Island. "You kid." Kuroko shook his head. "Forget it, just do as you say." "That's right." Ziyan patted Kuroko on the shoulder. "Famous doctors must communicate with each other to improve their medical skills. Maybe it can help you treat that whale." "I hope so," Kuroko said with a sigh. Ziyan turned to look at Tsunade. "Then, you geese talk slowly, and I'll wait for you by the side." Tsunade nodded, agreeing. Really amazing technology. Seeing his own arm recovering quickly under the treatment of Tsunade palm immortal technique, Euler couldn't help sighing. This kind of powerful effect, and other medical theories that I have never heard of. If I had such a technology before, I would be able to cure Roger's disease. "Thank you, Dr. Tsunade. I have gained a lot this time." Euler took out a stack of notes. "This is something I have summed up as a doctor for so many years, and I will give it to you now." "Thank you, Dr. Euler." Tsunade took the notes and said with a smile, "I also gained a lot this time." "Should I say that I am indeed the doctor of One Piece?" "Then, let's go here. I don't want my companion to wait too long, so let's say goodbye." Kuroko nodded. "I hope there will be opportunities to exchange medical skills in the future, so goodbye, drive, Tsunade." Tsunade waved his hand, and walked towards Ziyan who was looking at her not far away. "I kept you waiting, little Ziyan." Tsunade hugged Ziyan's arm. "Let's set sail now." "Okay, all right." Saying that, Ziyan embraced Tsunade, and flew towards the Golden Deer using telekinetic flower. Night began to cover the sea, and the Golden Deer, which had been sailing for a day, arrived at its RST island on the Great Voyage. The darkness of the sky did not block Ziyan's gaze. He saw many cactus-like protrusions on the island from a distance. After getting off the boat, everyone walked towards the village where the lights were on. Although the sky is getting dark, many people in the village are still strolling outside. With his strong hearing, even if there is still some distance from the village. However, Ziyan still heard the voices of people in the village talking. From their conversation, he also knew that this was the Whiskey Mountain, and this was also the gathering place for bounty hunters. Thinking of his current identity as a pirate, Ziyan couldn't help but wonder if there were any brave bounty hunters who would attack his group of people. Following the pace of Ziyan and his group, people in the village also discovered them one after another. And when they saw Ziyan's face clearly, they all winked. They have read all the recent newspapers, and as bounty hunters, they are naturally very active in paying attention to various reward orders. Therefore, they certainly knew that the people who came here were members of the Drake Pirates, and they also knew their huge bounty. Many people chose to back away. Although they liked the bounty, they didn't dare to face their men of the Drake Pirates. Of course, more people chose to stay, hoping to end a chance to earn a bounty that could take a lifetime. "Hi. How are you?" A somewhat pretty girl in revealing clothes walked over shaking her body. "Welcome to Whiskey Peak. I run a hotel. Would you like to have a drink?" "Yeah." Drake turned his head when he heard the whine. "Okay, take us there." "Say yes, Ziyan." Ziyan shook his head and said, "Since you've said that, let's go." "Hey, you lead the way." Turning his head, Ziyan said indifferently to the girl with malicious intentions. Although she thought she was covering it up very well, her faint killing intent couldn't fool Ziyan. "Okay, this handsome guy and his companions, please follow me." As she said that, the girl still tried to rub against Ziyan. Seeing the heavy makeup on the girl's face, Ziyan ashed a hint of displeasure, and was about to push her away from behind when Minamoto Reimiko stood in front of Ziyan. "What do you want to do, dear?" Although Minamoto Reimitsu spoke with a smile, the coldness in his eyes really made the girl shiver. The girl stepped back quickly and said, "Ha ha ha ha, I'm sorry, I just couldn't help seeing this handsome guy." Then, please come with me, my hotel is not far away. After Ziyan and the others came to the hotel, many bounty hunters also followed into their hotel. Ziyan just looked at them and didn't care. Now, it was time for Drake and the others to drink, and he didn't want to affect his friend's interest in drinking. Soon, the girl came to Ziyan and the others with a plate of wine glasses. Dear guests, come. Please try our own special rum. Tsunade was the RST to pick up a glass of rum, sniffed it on the tip of his nose, and then looked at Ziyan and smiled secretly. Seeing Tsunade's expression like this, Ziyan immediately knew that this was a wine that had been 40ed. Chapter 59 The plan failed? Tsunade, do you think it's okay for us to drink these wines? Ziyan didn't shy away from girls with heavy makeup, and asked Tsunade calmly. No problem, although this wine can easily make people fall asleep. But it is no problem for us. Tsunade raised his glass to gesture to Ziyan. If that's the case, everyone can do whatever they want. As soon as Ziyan finished speaking, Spartacus suddenly picked up a glass of rum and drank it. Tsunade and Drake also started their daily drinking routine. Seeing their appearance, Ziyan turned his head to look at the girl. Woman, go and help us get some more wine, you are not enough for us to drink. As he said that, Ziyan took a special look at the three Drakes who were drinking heavily. Okay. As time passed, Ziyan and his party were surrounded by wine barrels. Although some companions such as Ziyan and Shanruza did not drink much alcohol. But Drake, Tsunade, and the newly joined Spartacus are open to drinking. Ziyan and his partners didn't take poisoning seriously at all. After all, none of them were ordinary people, and their powerful abilities prevented these poisons from exerting their effects at all. And even if there is a poison that can affect them, Tsunade can quickly detoxify everyone. The girl who led Ziyan and the others to the tavern just now was already sweating profusely, and the other staff in the tavern were also not calm. Obviously they have put a drowsy drug in all the wine, but now everyone in the pirate group has drunk, but no one falls down. Even people who drink little can drink enough to knock an elephant unconscious. And the wine that the three of Drake drank was completely capable of knocking down a Neptune. Pain. Spartacus put down his wine glass heavily, looked at all the empty wine barrels around, and said to the girl who was serving wine to everyone, there is no more wine here, bring some more wine here. The girl was sweating profusely. That, we have no more wine. You all drank it all. That's it. Ziyan put down his wine glass, smiled and said, then it's time to pay the bill. No need. The girl waved her hand quickly and said, seeing that this group of people drank so much alcohol that was given a strong sleeping pill, but nothing happened. She didn't know that the physique of this group of people was monster level, so she dared to charge them for drinks. Really, don't you charge money? You guys are really generous. Since you don't charge for drinks, let's settle the accounts between me and my classmates. Ziyan lay on the chair and smiled coldly. Account for the drug you put in our wine! Hearing Ziyan's words, the heavily made-up girl was immediately dumbfounded. The girl and her companions had already planned to give up when they saw that the wine mixed with sleeping pills would not work on Ziyan and his party. But now that Ziyan said this, it was clear that he knew it! What? Thinking of the deeds of the Drake pirates, the girl immediately screamed and looked towards the hotel staff. Ziyan watched her run away amusedly, and when he was about to make a move, a gunshot rang out in the tavern. Boom! Ziyan turned his head to look in the direction of the gunnery. A bounty hunter was holding a smoking intlock in front of Ziyan's. The bullet stopped with a green light. Although this guy makes me very unhappy, I don't allow you to hurt him. Next to Ziyan, the tornado with green light on his body frowned cutely and looked at the bounty hunter who shot. I originally planned to wait until you were drunk, but now it seems that even the added wine can't work on you. The bounty hunter raised his gun and blew on the barrel. It's just blocking bullets. It couldn't be simpler. Although everyone has rumored how powerful you are, in my opinion, you are just a group of old, weak, sick and disabled. When you sail on there, see, you even take the elderly and children with you. How strong can such a team be? That's right. It looks like they're just fakes. Boss, let's get rid of them. We'll be happy for a long time after we've done this. The heavily made-up girl retreated to the side of her companion, looking at the group of people who were speaking, with a look of contempt on her face. That Mons is really an idiot, but he thought he was invincible after only doing a pirate with a reward of $1,000,000. He often looked down on us, and often claimed that he killed a pirate that was more powerful than the sand crocodile in the Kyuhai Sea. It's hopeless, whether it's this Mons or his group of companions. They are all geese who don't know how to read newspapers. This group of people is not something you can eat. The heavily made-up girl turned her head to look at her companions behind her, and said, let's go, let these idiots delay us for a while. Since my plan has failed, let's leave the tavern now and leave Whiskey Mountain overnight. Chapter 63 Fall. After the girl with heavy makeup finished speaking, she turned around and planned to leave through the back door of the tavern. But boss, Are we really going to leave like this? A companion dressed as a waiter greedily looked in the direction of Ziyan and his party. Maybe we can join forces with Mons and their others. Those guys drank so much poisoned wine, even if they didn't faint, they must have become weak. If you want to stay, just stay by yourself. I don't want a fool like you. The girl with heavy makeup didn't stop, and continued to run outside the hotel. What an idiot. If you are weak, can you block bullets through the air? Seeing his boss and companions leave, the waiter gritted his teeth and decided to stay. He would only feel better if he was able to join Mons's team afterwards despite leaving their makeup girl. After all, Meng's companions used to brag about Meng's strength in front of him, and he also saw Meng's easily defeating pirates that many people could not take down. So, greedy for money, he insisted on staying. And he will soon regret his decision. Hearing a group of people in Mons address themselves by a child on the left and a child on their right, a well-shaped pattern protruded from the forehead of the tornado. With the anger of the tornado, the tables and chairs around her began to shake and tremble, and, slowly, everything in the entire tavern began to shake. A group of people in Meng's Nally felt that something was wrong. They were a little surprised when they looked at the tables, chairs, wine bottles and other things surrounded by green light, and at the tornado ying in the air surrounded by telekinetic pea flower. You guys, it was so cool to call me a child just now. The tornado in the air folded his arms and looked at Meng's eye and the others with a bad expression. Now, it's too late to even apologize. As he said that, Tornado slowly stretched out his hand towards Meng's. Haha, the devil fruit ability can't scare me. Meng's eye pulled out the sword at his waist, and slowly walked towards the tornado. I forgot to tell you. The pirate who I killed with a reward of $1 million is the one with devil fruit ability. Little girl you. Boom. Hearing Meng's calling himself a little girl again, Tornado immediately launched a telekinetic force on Meng's. Meng's, who was wrapped in telekinetic pea flower, was instantly suppressed on the ore. Mons was smashed on the ore so hard that even the hard ore was smashed to pieces by him, and all the bones in Mons' body made creaking sounds. It seemed as if it was about to break under the pressure. What? Meng's, whose face was covered in blood, widened his eyes and wanted to speak, but he could only make meaningless screams. He didn't understand what was going on, and he didn't understand why he was so easily crushed to the ground by a little girl after killing the big pirate with a reward of $1 million. Quick, help the boss up. After reacting, Meng's Eye's subordinates immediately ran to Meng's Eye, trying to help him up. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as the three bounty hunters approached Mons, they immediately fell to the ore like Mons. Their physical strength was far inferior to that of Meng's Eye, and they were immediately crushed to death by telekinetic pea flower. The bounty hunter who was about to approach looked at his dead companions and stopped in his tracks. They looked at Tornado with sweat dripping from their brows, and now they nearly believed what the others said. People who believe in the Drake pirates are people who are so pea-flowerful that they can't afford to mess with them. Run. As one person took the lead and ran out, all the rest of Meng's men began to run away desperately. They were just planning to use Meng's ability to make a living. But now they saw that Meng's had nothing to do with each other. And there were three companions in front who were directly and easily killed. How could they dare to stay? All abandoned Mons and dead. I want to run now. It's too late. The tornado unfolded, and the pea-flowerful telekinetic force dispersed to the surroundings. All their escaped bounty hunters were brought hundreds of meters into the sky along with the suddenly broken tavern. Then, from the height of Bamy, the free fall began. What? Help, help, forgive me, please. The high altitude of the upper white rice, under their free fall, is quickly over. Just like that, under the witness of many bounty hunters outside the tavern, all of Mons' men died. After all the bounty hunters who were thrown into the air died, Tornado looked coldly at Meng's, who was completely immobile. Around. Life. Seeing Tornado's icy eyes, Meng's has lost his prestige at all. He couldn't even utter the words to beg for mercy when he was pressed heavily on the ore by the telekinetic force. Boom. Tornado ignored Meng's eyes begging for mercy, and increased his motivation again. Meng's, who was already at the limit, could no longer resist the tornado's telekinetic pea flower, and was crushed into a ball of flesh. Even people who know him well can't help him at this moment. After finishing these things, Tornado slowly turned to the waiter who stayed behind. At this moment, the waiter no longer had the idea of exchanging Ziyan and his companions for bounties. He only had regrets in his heart. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.